Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about why I will not be a Stampin' Up demonstrator, right? And I'm a little sad about this because Stampin' Up is actually like one of the first stamp companies, no, it is the first stamp company that I ever bought anything from. It's what introduced me to stamping. So I'm really sad to not be a Stampin' Up demonstrator. Like back in like 2007, I think was when I first got into stamping. It's because I was invited to a coworker's house and she was having a Stampin' Up party. And I bought some stamps there and, I started getting into stamping. And the very first kits that I ever bought were Stampin' Up kits. I still have a bunch of them that I still use right here. The paper pumpkin kits were great, especially for a beginning stamper. But they won't let me be a demonstrator. And not just me, but they won't let anybody be a demonstrator who advertises other things on their channel. So I cannot use Stampin' Up products as a demonstrator if I'm going to also then be using products from another company. I think that is such a short-sighted idea. I think this industry really should be about cooperation over competitiveness, right? There's enough for everybody, and I love like all these companies work together, right? And I don't know about you, but I find, the most creativity comes from being able to use a wide variety of products. And so like as much as I want to use the Stampin' Up products and be a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I can't be a demonstrator and also then advertise those products, which is, I think, just really silly. So my channel, I do get a little bit of a commission with the affiliate links that I have. It's not much, it's like, 50 cents or something here and there. But I do use those to help offset some of the costs of my supplies, my supplies. We know that crafting is not cheap. But I can't do that if I am going to be a Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I am really bummed and sad about that. It's in their terms and conditions, so it's not just me, but it's something that I had wondered about for a long time, and maybe you did too. I'd noticed that Stampin' Up demonstrators really only use Stampin' Up products, whereas other people who have card making channels, they use a wide variety of products. Stampin' Up demonstrators, they only use those Stampin' Up products. And that would make sense to me if they were employees, but demonstrators are not really employees. They're buying their own products and then they're demonstrating them, and then they're getting a small commission from people who buy those products, which is not any different from what I'm doing. 99% of the things that I demonstrate and use are things that I bought myself, and then I get a little commission if people buy based on the links that I share. And I do appreciate whenever anybody buys anything from the links that I share, because it does help to offset some of this. So all that to say, I was super bummed because I tried to be a demonstrator. I had seen a really cool stamp set and punch set that I wanted to buy. And I'll show you guys these in a second. But there were so many things that I actually wanted to buy when I started looking into buying these that it made sense to just sign up to be a demonstrator. And then when I was looking into the terms and conditions, it basically said, like, you can't be a demonstrator and then also use other products while you're demonstrating Stampin' Up products. And I think actually you can't demonstrate any other products as, at all. Not just while you're just using these, you can't demonstrate any other products from any other companies if you're a Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I thought that really sucked. Stampin' Up, I would love to be a demonstrator, but you got to get it together. If anybody from Stampin' Up is watching, like, you need to get with the times. Maybe that made sense, 20 years ago, but now it really is about cooperation over competitiveness. And, I think everybody in the industry just makes everybody else stronger, and the creativity just flows so much more when you can use a wide variety of different things. So all that to say, because I am not a demonstrator, I am going to be using my Stampin' Up products with other things. And I did want to share these because I do enjoy them, and I still continue to use Stampin' Up products, but anyway, that's just a bummer to not be able to be a demonstrator. And this is a really cool product. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a little bit of the haul that I got. So stick around with me and we'll make some cards together, okay? Down this path when I saw somebody make a video using this bow punch and this layering leaves stamp set. I really like the Stampin' Up punches because I find them so much easier to use than a die cut, and especially for something like this where I want to cut out a lot at once, and I want to cut it out with different styles. So I can use all of these different stamps to make different styles of the leaves. or I can cut them out plain and just cut them out of vellum or glitter paper or anything like that. I think this is so great to be able to cut those little embellishments that I love to use behind like sentiments, just to decorate cards, just to have a little extra flair. I really wish that they would come out with a pine bough one, maybe some holly leaf ones too, in a similar kind of size. I think those would be really great to just be able to cut out really quickly whenever I need them. But I can tell I'm going to use this punch quite a bit, and I'll use it with lots of different stamp sets because you can see how nicely they layer there, and you can go ahead and use the small ones, the really tiny ones, or the larger ones. Show you how easily these punch out, and this is why I like them. They're so much easier to use than a die cut for something like this where you want to do a lot of different cuts all at once. Here you just punch them, punch them, punch them, and in a few minutes you can have, you know, like 50 of them done. Now here's another punch that I got. This one makes labels, and this one actually makes 2 different labels, and it makes 3 or 4 different sizes of each. So you just cut the size of the label you want, just go ahead and punch it, and it punches that end. And then once you're done punching it, you can go ahead, turn it around, and do the other side. And you can make labels or the sentiment strips as long as you want, whatever size you need them to be for any sentiment that you're making. See on the back here how it punches 2 different styles, and that was on clearance, so I think that's a great value. This set of pastels was also on clearance. I got it because it was like $3, so why not? Same with all of these sparkle embellishments, sequins and things like that. I think they were like $2 or $3, and so, you know, I couldn't resist a deal for that. I also got these little embossing folders. These are kind of mini embossing folders. One makes kind of rough lines and the other makes kind of a paint splatter. You're going to want to do if you are going ahead and using the layering leaves set along with the punch. You're going to want to make a little template for yourself, and you do that just by cutting out a punch, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take some of the layering leaf stamps and you're just going to place those directly onto the template that you created. And the reason for that is because when you are going to go ahead and cut the ones that you have stamped, you want them to be in the right place so that you can stamp them efficiently. So by putting them in this template, you know that they're in the right spot when you are stamping them so that they actually match the punch when you go to punch them. This card I'm also going to be using the Hero Arts Folk Winter Animals bundle, and that comes with the dies, the stamps, and the stencils. Actually, the stencils are sold separately, but it's good to get the stencils because they go really well with this. And I also use the Swirling Stars stencil, which I just really love, and I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, and that's Hero Arts as well. I'm using some of the Simon Hurley solar paste there, and I don't recall the color, but it's the really pale one that kind of gives it that nice sparkle, subtle sparkle and shine of a starlit sky. And I like this kind of twilight look of this paper that I had, and this is just some scrapbooking paper that I had in my stash. Now I'm going ahead and I'm stenciling this. And the colors of Distress Oxide ink, I'll show you in a bit when I'm done stenciling. But I like these soft colors, these soft kind of pastel colors. I think they go well with the twilight background that I kind of have there. And it's a super easy stencil to make. So you could use this just as a background. So if you stencil the whole thing, it'll make a whole background for you. Or you can then cut them out individually. Now, as I am doing this, the colors are going to layer a little bit on some of them. So you'll see, for example, that when I layer the pinks with the blues, it'll kind of turn purplish. And when I layer the blues with the yellows, it's going to turn kind of greenish. So that actually gives me more colors than there otherwise would be because of the way that I'm layering it with the Distress Oxides. So I thought that was kind of a cool effect. Now I'm just going ahead and putting down the stamps because I'm going to stamp the outlines in black over this. So unfortunately they don't have like a template or anything like that that you can use to get them all in the right spot, so you do have to kind of finagle that yourself, but at some point you could actually just make a template for yourself, and so you'd know that they are all in the right spot. So that might be something that I do later on. Using Versafine black ink that I can then emboss with, and then for the embossing what I'm going to use is the Hero Arts Sparkle embossing powder. It's my favorite. It dries clear, but it has that sparkle and shine to it, so when it adheres to the black ink will show through it. but it will have a nice shine to it. And I am not very precise when it comes to embossing, which is also why I like using the clear embossing powder, because if I make a mistake, I know it's not going to show on the final product. It'll just be clear, and if it is a little sparkly, oh well. I'm always one to add more sparkles to all of my cards and everything like that, so I don't mind that. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by how well all of the things that I stenciled actually lined up with the black outline. It really was very easy to do. There were no mistakes, and all of those fine little flowers and leaves and everything like that all lined up absolutely perfectly. And you'll see now I am die cutting a bunch of them, and those come out very nice as well. Those pop out nice and easily, and then I went ahead and cut my card base. I actually then decided to do it horizontally instead of vertically to be able to fit more of the animals on it. Now I'm just going ahead and creating just a distress oxide blended background just with the same colors that I made the animals out of, and we are going to go ahead and use this to punch out those leaves. So I'm just blending those all together to try and get kind of that mix of colors, trying to get a little bit of purple, a little bit of green. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp those on, and you can see how those line up nicely because I had lined that up with the template earlier. So I'm getting as many of those as I can on there. Now they're too close together for me to actually be able to use the punch directly on them, so I did end up having to cut them down a little bit into smaller pieces and sizes, but they still work very well in the punch. Adding a little sparkle embossing powder to those as well, because of course I am. Now I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do here, so I did end up cutting out more leaves than I needed, which is totally fine because I will definitely save those and use those for another time. And you can see how easy the punch is to use there. And I like that it cuts those stems too, and it cuts them very nicely and neatly in a way that I think would be actually pretty hard to do and get right with a die cut each time, because they are pretty delicate. And you can see there's the finished background there. I'm going to go ahead and pop those animals up on some foam, and the easiest way to do that with small die cuts like these is to actually just cut the outline out on a piece of foam. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So that way when I layer them, it's exactly the right size and shape, and it's super easy to do. Going ahead and layering my punched out leaves, I cut out a piece in vellum, I cut out a piece in glitter paper, and so on the image of the final card it's a little hard to see, but in person you can definitely tell that those leaves are layered there, and it gives a nice effect having all of those leaves layered together. I wasn't sure how I was going to position the animals. I actually had cut out two of those foxes, and I was going to have them facing each other, but I actually ended up losing one as I was doing this, and I still haven't found it. But I decided to just go ahead and use the other animals rather than trying to start over and make another fox. There I am using my Handmade by Stephanie stamp that I put on all of my cards, and then I'm just adhering that to the card base. So that is my finished card. The sentiment there is actually a Spellbinders sentiment. It was one of their chipboard pieces from their Serenade of Autumn collection. What do you guys think of the finished card? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did, and I will catch you next time.